we're separating the math from the drama. The major thing to think about when you're curating inventory, it means that you have decided to stock furnishings, decor, artwork that you can use to stage houses. Maybe you have decided that the vacant home staging is your niche and it's going to be your focus. Or it could be occupied staging that you supply the smaller decor items without the furniture. Either way, if you're going to be buying any kind of inventory for your business, you need to watch this. Hey friends, welcome to Home Staging Business. My name is Joke. And if we haven't met, I'm a home stager based in the Seattle area. My company, Genesis Home Staging, is an award-winning company, and I am on the board of the Real Estate Staging Association as a director. I'm also the host of Creative Business Mindset podcast. You should give it a listen. So, I am all about the business to help you figure out the profitability and the business part of your creativity. And today I'm going to be talking about how to curate inventory that makes you money. We're separating the math from the drama. Okay, so the major thing to think about when you're curating inventory, it means that you have decided to stock furnishings, decor, artwork that you can use to stage houses. And maybe you have decided that the vacant home staging is your niche and it's going to be your focus. Or it could be occupied staging that you supply the smaller decor items without the furniture. Either way, if you're going to be buying any kind of inventory for your business, you need to watch this. Okay, my major thing to consider when you're buying anything that's going to be used in your business is the cost per use. How many times are you going to use that thing to make it make sense? Because you're going to be paying to store that thing and it needs to make sense how many times you're going to use it. Are you going to make all your money that you spend in buying it, the cost of acquisition plus? Because I have had inventory in my warehouse that I've used for more than 6 years. They are fully paid for themselves. And because I paid attention to that cost per use that I'm talking about, and keep it as versatile as possible, neutral, things that can work well with another thing so that it cuts down on your time making design decisions because they're so easy to put together and everything works well together. Let's get into it. You know, the same way that we have a closet full of nothing to wear, we can easily end up with a warehouse with nothing that works together. And you'll be tearing out your hair each time you want to stage, and you end up with the leftovers and nothing matches, and you're running out to Home Goods, you're running out to Target, you're running around looking for inventory. It is very, very stressful when you're doing it at the last minute, because once you start along that path, it just spirals. What happens is you buy the thing because you love it, because it's your favorite color, because it is the thing that's trending. And you buy that, you end up not being able to pay it with anything else that you already have. And then you run out and buy something else last minute. Every time you do a last minute shopping, not only is it stressful, it leads to more things that you haven't carefully planned out to buy. And you add that to your inventory and you end up with even more things that don't work together. So plan your buying, your purchasing for your inventory. If you have decided that you are going to stock inventory, we talked about you're going to need a place to store them. Whatever it is you're buying, whether it's furniture, whether it's the smaller items to supplement occupied staging, then think about where you're going to store them and the cost of those things. Because if you end up storing things that you don't get that much use for, that cost per use, that means you are throwing money down the drain. To store and house things, you're paying rent on those things to store them and you're not using them. They're not making you money. They are costing you money. So think about that. The same way you create your capsule wardrobe, make sure that everything that you buy is going to work together. You have a house that somebody has given you to stage. Everything you have in your inventory, you should be able to put together everything that works together for that house. Otherwise, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money. Okay, the next slide, which is actually a snip from my inventory system, because that's another thing. We'll talk about your inventory system, but right now, keeping things neutral, because you're staging for universal appeal. The houses you're going to be staging, you don't know who's going to walk into it. Whoever that person is, they need to be able to connect with the house. And the neutrality of the things that you put there will help that, and it will expand the pool of potential buyers. But if you're using all the colorful things because you like them, because they're trending, then you're cutting out a big chunk of potential buyers. So it's your cost per use, it is your neutrality and universal appeal, so that you can attract more buyers for your clients. They will love you for it. But it doesn't all have to be all vanilla, right? Because we also can add sprinkles. The furniture, the big stuff, the sofa, the chairs, and all that is your vanilla base. That is your vanilla ice cream. And then you can play with color in your pillows, in your artwork, and sprinkle all of that to make everything come alive. But if you're carrying all the colorful sofas and all the colorful things, before you build a good neutral palette, you're going to end up in trouble. You're going to be spending more money. You're not going to be able to put anything together that makes sense. Okay? But as you grow, if you want to have fun, I am just not committed to buying the big stuff in the colorful sofa, the green sofa. It's just not my business model, because I am all about the business. Show me the cost per use. Show me how much it's going to make me, and then I'm going to commit to buying it. And if you can see in these pictures, the same sofa has been used over and over again. I have had, in this one, it's the same sofa in different houses. I have used this sofa. I think I've had it for like more than 6 years since I've been in business. I have some sofas in my inventory. The clip I showed you earlier, that clip also, I have the same sofa, like 10 or 11 of them. And we use them over and over. And it doesn't matter what kind of house. That's the versatility as well. Whether it's a condo, whether it's a $5 million home, I can actually use the same sofa as long as it is the right scale, proportionate to the space I'm staging. And then the style wise, keep it as simple as possible. If you stock mid-century modern, unless you're only staging like mid-century modern homes, then you're going to get into a place where you cannot even use those. So I like to keep them as simple as possible, transitional, contemporary in nature, and you will be good. So also buy in multiples, at least 2, because sometimes you want to do sofa and sofa, and if you end up with different kinds of sofas, it just doesn't balance well, and it doesn't have that elevated aesthetic that you're looking for. But if you have the same sofa, then you can do sofa arrangement if you need to in the same room, and it won't look weird. In this picture, what I want to show you is, this is a bench, these 2 benches, and that's an example of how we curate our inventory. This bench, I bought 2 of them because look in the top photo in that room. By the fireplace, there are 2 spaces where we use bench, and they're matching, and they're nicely symmetrical, and they're balanced design, and it's elevated because we have the same thing. If you were buying different things, then it just will make it harder for you to create those kind of elevated feels. And then this same thing has become a workhorse in the sense that we can separate them, we can use them together. In the bottom photo, the lower photo, what you see is the same benches. They have been put together to form a coffee table. So that is the versatility that buying in multiples can give you. Also, we do this with our nightstands. We do them with cabinets. If you have 2 cabinets, you can join them together to make one long one. If you're working in like a room that has a long wall, that the short one will not be enough, but you can also take that one and use it as a nightstand somewhere in a bigger room. So there is no end to how you can use stuff if you curate them carefully, and they will make you so much more money. It will make your life so much easier. You spend less time making decisions, and then you are going to make more money because you bought something that's going to be working over and over and over in different places, and you can use them with all the things that you already have. Okay, so that's kind of our capsule collection. In our dining sets, your table and chairs don't have to match wood for wood, and it makes it harder if you're doing all wood and you can't even use these chairs with a different table because you have gray wood here, brown wood there, and it just doesn't match. That's why I also like upholstery for my dining chairs for the most part. There are a few that we have that are not upholstery, but when you're buying table chairs, buy the things that you can use together. You can see in all of this capsule that we have curated collections that work together, but for the most part, everything almost works with everything because it's upholstery, and it also gives you the opportunity to soften the hard wood that the tables, and I like real wood dining tables, coffee tables, because they're so easy to care for, and I'll show you that. So also keep it very, very light because your movers will thank you. You have to move these things over and over again. Maybe you are even the mover at the beginning. You're the one moving your stuff. And so keep it light. I learned very quickly when I'm shopping for furniture, the first thing is I do the lift test. I try to lift it up. If it's not easy for me to lift, or at least that 2 people can lift it easily, I'm not buying it. Or, there are some houses that you want to buy really, really nice furniture. It doesn't mean that it has to be heavy to be good quality, but most of the older stuff, they can be heavy. But for the most part, we keep it light so that it's easy to move up and down. And the heavier the furniture is, the more chances you have of damaging walls and floors and things that will end up costing you money because now you have to fix that for your client. So think about, and then storage as well, moving, storage, and all of that, keep it lightweight. And then make sure there are things that are easy care, indestructible and easy to care for. That's why I like real hardwood surfaces or things that are easy to wipe and clean versus manufactured wood that can, the layers can be ripped off and you can't even really fix it if it scratches and it's done. So workhorses, I also like glass tops sometimes because you can easily like glass cleaner, clean it and you're done. So those are the things that you should be thinking about. And then you need an inventory system. It doesn't matter how much inventory you carry. From the day you buy your first inventory, you should be thinking about ways to track them because you're going to go crazy. Once things get out of hand, it's hard to really back in. And our inventory system is Stage Force. Stage Force was made by a stager for stagers. So with that consideration in mind, it's my favorite thing. There's also Sortly. I have used Sortly before I came to Stage Force. So look it up, search it and find your jam, whatever works for you. But whatever you do, find a way to track your inventory before it gets out of hand. You're going to know what is where is what, and you know what you have to work with and what you need to buy. If your inventory levels are dropping, you know what to buy, and it takes the guesswork. And it also adds up how much inventory you have in money, in terms of money. If you have insurance, that will be something that will be very helpful for you to have. Know how much you have spent in inventory. You can easily download that report and send it to your insurance company if ever needed, or your accountant for depreciation and your accounting. Well, that's all from me today. Thank you for watching. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. And if you need guidance, I offer business mentorship at businessofhomestaging.com. I'll leave a link for you below. And I look forward to helping you turn your creativity into profitability.